Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Classics, Sir Laser-Lot. So this is the fourth figure in the 30th anniversary collection, and is an all-new character created by DC's own Geoff Johns. Sir Laser-Lot comes on the standard Masters of the Universe Classics blister card packaging. The front of the blister features a Powers of Grayskull logo. The back of his packaging gives us a look at some of the other figures available in the Classics lineup, as well as a brand new bio that teaches us about Sir Laser-Lot. Alright, so taking a look at Laser-Lot outside of the packaging, we can see that he obviously goes with the knight motif. But he is a very brightly colored knight. His outfit is mostly blue, with some reds in his cape, his boots, and his gloves, so it's a very comic book, superhero-y looking color scheme. There is some really nice shading on the blue in his armor and his arms and his legs, though, so it does differentiate that up a little bit and looks really well to help bring out some of those details. His head sculpt is pretty cool, actually, being that of a knight's helmet. It does have a bit of a Roboto vibe to it, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's the colors, and especially that silver visor and the red mouth guard. But one thing I do like is he's got this translucent red plume coming out of the top of the helmet. Kind of like a laser effect since he's Sir Laser-Lot, and I think that's a pretty nice touch. Now at the center of his armor on his chest there is a red triangular shape, which is described in the bio is what's called the Gem of Tamalj. I sort of wish, since this is supposed to be a gem, that it was also made of that same translucent red plastic that we see on the plume on the top of his head, but instead it's just painted as solid red. So aside from the armor that he's wearing and the head sculpt, most of the figure is basically a reuse of parts and nothing new that we haven't already seen on previous Masters of the Universe Classics figures. Alright guys, let's take a closer look at Sir Laser-Lot. Now, the articulation on this guy is very tight. I do want to point that out right up front because all of his joints were so stiff when I opened him up that I really had to work them all loose. So I guess that's a good thing that he's got such stiff and tight joints. You can see that he does have the newer ankles without the pins on the side there, and the foot joints are all very tight. The ankles are very, very sturdy. They got that click thing going on there. All of the joints feel exactly the same way. So, standard Masters of the Universe Classics articulation. The head is able to rotate around, turn left and right. You got the ball-jointed shoulders, allowing for rotation, moving outwards. You got swivels at the biceps. You got a single joint at the elbow there, as well as a swivel at the wrist. You do have the torso cut articulation, which still works even though he's wearing the armor, and then you do have a swivel there as well. He's wearing the hero-style loincloth piece there, and it is a little stiff, but it still has some pliability, and it doesn't get in the way of the articulation in the legs at all, so you can get some good splits there. You can get a pretty decent sitting pose out of him. You have the single-jointed knees, and then, of course, you have your swivel there, and then those ankles that we talked about. So, articulation, standard, all the joints are really tight, which is very good. Now the plume coming off of his helmet there is not articulated. I think originally it was intended to swivel, but it is glued in place, so it just stays in this exact same motion right here, the same pose that it's in. It just kind of lays down his back. You can't really swivel that at all. It looks like maybe you could loosen it up, but it does seem like it is pretty firmly locked in place there. The cape is part of the armor. It's attached to the back of the armor, just glued on there. It's just like all the capes we've seen before. It is soft and flexible, but it's pretty long. It's not bad, though. It doesn't really get in the way. And then the armor can be unsnapped. These are small little snaps in the back, so you can pop those off, and then if you want to pop the head off, you can remove the armor that way. It's the softer armor there. And then you can see like on his neck, it's just painted red, but it is just the standard male torso piece underneath that. So that gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect with Laser-Lot here. There's really nothing extraordinary about him. He's pretty standard as far as a lot of the things we've seen with Masters of the Universe Classics.
Laser-Lot includes 3 different accessories. First up is this really cool mace. The actual head of the mace is made of a translucent plastic, though it is more translucent pink than it is red. It's a much lighter color than the plume on the top of his helmet. The spikes on there are very rubbery, but the actual staff part that he holds is made of a very solid plastic, so it's not too gummy or anything like that. I like the overall look of this, but you will notice that there is a bit of a sloppy paint job, as I've got some of the gray paint from the handle up on the actual mace itself. His second accessory is a translucent blue shield that has some nice white deco on the front of it. The shield isn't too brittle. It's got a little bit of a pliability to it, but it's nice and solid, and it clips very well onto either one of his wrists. And lastly, Laser-Lot includes this translucent red sword. I like the idea that the mace and the sword are translucent red, kind of like they are laser weapons. It does go along with his name quite well. So there you go, guys. There's a look at Sir Laser-Lot. We are 4 characters in to the 6 characters we're getting in this 30th anniversary subline. I will say that as far as the design of this character goes, I like the idea of a knight character. I mean, we do have Extendar as it is, as a knight in Masters of the Universe, but I'm fine with there being knight characters. They do seem to fit in well. And using laser weapons is kind of a cool little technology-based addition to the character for Masters of the Universe. And the name, I'm not so bothered by it. Laser-Lot does sound like a Masters of the Universe name. But there's no denying that it is a bit goofy sounding, and I think the thing that I don't like about him the most are those bright colors. The blues and the reds just seem a little too superhero-y for me, and not so much a knight. If he had more knight-like colors, maybe a black or a silver or a gray or anything like that, I think I'd like the overall look of this figure a little bit better. But the figure itself is still a nice figure with very tight articulation. He comes with 3 accessories, all of which I really like, and everything seems to work very well on this figure. So he may still make a great addition to your line if it's a character you're looking forward to picking up. Sir Laser-Lot is part of the 30th anniversary subscription and will be available on MattyCollector.com on August 15th, 2012. Until next time.